Welcome to freedomlovin.com, where we focus on building freedom in an unfree world. Through personal development, location independence, and passive income strategies. Now here's your host, Kevin Koskela.
Welcome to Freedom Lovin'. This is Kevin, and this is episode number 42. And today I'm going to talk about the 9 ways to find affordable, cheap housing on a temporary basis within the U.S. in amazing cities. So that's something I've been doing for a while, is traveling around and living in awesome places temporarily, and being able to do it at a really cheap rate compared to what most people are paying. So I talked about on a blog post a while back, it was a couple of years ago now, when I went to Bali, I was noticing that my housing expenses or my accommodations were actually cheaper when I was traveling around on the road and staying in hotels than when I was living in San Diego, where I had a year lease and I was paying month to month or monthly rent. So that was something that opened my eyes a lot. But I want to talk about saving money here within the U.S. if you are a location-independent person that wants to live in some different places. Because I know there are a lot of people out there that think that certain cities are not affordable and it's just completely out of the question that they could live there. Now, I have not done this in like New York City, or I know it's just absolutely insane, but I know that there would be a way to do this. So anyway, here are the 9 ways that I find cheap places to live in awesome areas. So, number one, this isn't a way, but this is just the starting point. You got to get on Craigslist and go to the housing. I know that's not like a shocking, amazing revelation there, but Craigslist is where it's all at. So one of my tricks that I do when I'm looking for a place to stay for a few months is I will post on the housing wanted in Craigslist. There's a housing wanted section, and it seems kind of odd that people actually go and find tenants in that area, like people that are looking for a place. But that's where you can link up with people that they want to fulfill their place, let's say on certain dates, and if you post something and it kind of matches up with what they're needing, then sometimes that's a really good way to go. So I will post an ad there just describing exactly what I'm looking for, and I get a lot of emails. I mean, they're not all exactly what I'm looking for, but this is an example. Let's see. When I got back from Boulder, I was in Boulder last summer for 3 months, and then I came back and I wanted to live in San Diego for 6 weeks because I had a trip to Thailand planned in October. So I needed a place for 6 weeks. I posted that on Craigslist, and I got a lot of emails. Narrowed it down to 2, and actually one of them was a 1-bedroom, large condo downtown, which is exactly what I wanted, and she was perfect. The owner was like 6 weeks is absolutely perfect. And then the other one was a house. It was actually a 1-bedroom house up in the Bay Park area. So it was a little bit off, but not too far from where I want to be. So I decided to go with the downtown place. It was a little more expensive, but it was more what I was looking for, and it turned out to be a really nice place, and I got it for... It was, condos downtown San Diego in that area 1-bedrooms go for about $1,700, $1,800 is kind of the standard, and this is furnished, of course. So, and that one was $1,500. So, and I was able to stay there whatever days I wanted. I had complete flexibility. So that worked out well. And then, Craigslist wanted ad is the first one. Then the second thing is to look for people that are renting out their places that aren't part of an apartment complex. So I've run into one of the challenges that I've run into in the past is that if you try to sublease from somebody that lives in an apartment complex, oftentimes the management will make your life hell just to get that place, even if it's for like 2 months. They will make you sign your life away. They want to do all kinds of background checks. They want to look at your tax records. And I got into some crazy arguments with this one complex. When I lived in Austin last time, I ended up getting this place in an apartment complex, and it was just insane. But I was subleasing for more than 2 months. It was actually taking over a lease that was, it's kind of a long story, but it was a lease that was, it was about, I think it had 8 months left on it, but I got 2 months for free, so that's why I took it. But they would not accept me for the longest time. They just would not that I had so much proof of my income, but I didn't have the tax returns to prove it. So that was their main thing. So they usually look for people that have an actual job and are not self-employed. But I ended up talking to some high-level person at the management, and they finally just agreed to let me take it. So that's one thing to avoid is the apartment complexes. Try to sublease from individuals that either own or rent their places and have control over who's staying there. So that has helped me a lot. When I worked with individuals, it's never been a problem. But when I've worked with big companies that run an apartment complex, that has been a problem. But coming up here, when I'm going to Austin again, I'm actually moving into an apartment complex. So far, the process has not been bad. I had to fill out a short application, and they immediately emailed me back and said that he just said we're putting it on file. So I'm assuming that it's not going to be an issue because it sounds like it's pretty much a done deal now. So sometimes it can work out, but I would have preferred to just work with the guy that I'm renting from. Third one is negotiate. So there's a couple of ways to look for areas to negotiate. So one is that if they want you to qualify, so again, if you're working with a person, if you're working with a big corporation that runs an apartment complex, it's going to be a lot tougher to do this. But even sometimes the smaller complexes, you can do this. You can, if they want you to qualify, let's say, fill out a whole bunch of forms and things to get this place, you can ask for a discount and that on the rent for doing that, and that sometimes can work. But the other way that I've done it in the past is if I can pay ahead, like if I'm going to an area and I have the money, if I have the cash reserves to pay rent, like let's say I'm going to be there 2 or 3 months and I can pay that ahead, that's a good way to get a discount. That's what I did in the current place I'm in Little Italy, San Diego downtown, and it's a very expensive area. It's probably the most expensive in San Diego. But I found this place, and it was listed for $1,600, which was actually below market for a furnished one-bedroom condo in Little Italy. Most of them, they start around $1,700. I couldn't even find one for that. Most of them are $1,800 and above for the newer type ones. So it was already kind of below market, but I asked if I could pay ahead 3 months and if I could do that and get a discount. So the guy just asked me, he said, well, what were you looking for? And I said, well, about $50 off. So he gave it to me. So he gave me $50 off my rent, which was nice. And then actually then after the 3 months, I said I wanted to stay in the apartment. And I said, but I'd like to see about getting a discount again. And so he said, sure, what are you looking for? So I said, how about $1,475? So $75 off. So I'm down $125 a month from the original price. And he said, okay, no counter offer or anything. And so there was a little bit of a confusion because he thought I was going to send him a check for the 3 months in advance, and I had planned on just doing month to month for the $1,475. So I got away with it, and it was pretty awesome because I look at apartments here all the time, condos for rent, and there's no condos for that low, except for the old buildings that are kind of the kind of like fallen apart places that I didn't really want to live in, the studios and stuff like that. But for one bedrooms, I was getting an amazing deal. So number 4 is look for college areas in the summer. Now, it seems like if you live around a college that you might experience partying, noise, just all kinds of craziness. But I haven't experienced that, and you get deals doing that. Actually, I have experienced that a little bit, but you get deals by renting from these college kids, and also there's like law students and MBA students and things like that are renting apartments year-round. They're gone for the summer for whatever reason, and they have to get a sublease person in there to pay part of their rent. So sometimes they'll take less than what they're paying. So that happens quite often where they are having to sublease their place, and they just desperately need to get out of there. So, and there's a lot of competition. So they've got to discount the rent. So that's where you can get some good deals. The one I'm going to in Austin this time that's exactly what it is. It's right by the UT campus, and I'm renting from an MBA student, and his rent, I guess, or I was looking at it, I think his rent is like $1,350 for this nice one bedroom, and I'm getting it for $1,100. And that's just because he's going to be gone the whole time. He just really needed someone in there. And there's too much competition to try to get maximum rent for those places. So the summer, and he said it's completely dead there in the summer. So I shouldn't have to deal with noise, and it's in a great part of town. It's right by downtown. So it's pretty awesome if it works out. But I did have an experience, let's see, that was 2012. I lived in downtown San Diego, and I moved into a building that was all law students. I rented from this girl that was gone for the summer, and she was a law student, and I assumed that the people living there would be studying, doing their summer quarter, summer semester, or whatever. But it was a lot of partying. It was I guess this Thomas Jefferson School of Law is not notorious for being top notch. So there was a lot of partying going on. And it never really was a huge issue. It was just kind of annoying to come back like on a Wednesday evening at 6 o'clock and there's like a huge party going on right across from me. So it was more of an annoyance out of some kind of envy on my part, because I just felt like nobody around me was doing any actual work. They were just kind of drinking their lives away, and I was trying to get stuff done. So that's happened. But overall, that was a good experience. It was an awesome location. I was paying like $1,050 a month in an area where, like I said, it's like $1,500, $1,600 was the minimum for those type of apartments. So that was really cool, and I actually got some extra time there because the girl that I was renting from came back a little later from her summer break. So that worked out really well. So number 4 would be college areas. Look for college areas in the summer and law schools and things like that. Number 5 is look for last minute deals. So a lot of times it seems like you want to get something way ahead of time and secure it, lock it in. But what works better and what's worked out better for me is the last minute type of thing. Like if, let's say you want to move into a place on May 15th, well, it's better to do it like the week before than to try to get the place someplace figured out like the month before, because you'll see ads pop up on Craigslist and they are desperate, so they are willing to negotiate. So it's like most people can't just up and move in like a week or a few days. So a lot of times if you do it a month ahead of time, then there's not as much room to negotiate, because they're not completely desperate. They can probably run that ad another 3 weeks before they start feeling that desperation of trying to find somebody. So yeah, last minute works better than planning ahead in this situation. And that's kind of what happened with this one that I'm getting coming up here, is that he needed to leave and he's just wanted to get it done, so he discounted it and let me have it. So that's number 5. So number 6. End of the year can also work. So if you're coming up to the end of the year, a lot of times people just need to get out for whatever reason. It's December 15th and the holidays are coming and it's hard to find tenants. It's hard to find people that are willing to move in. So if you're looking for a place around mid-December, you can get deals. You can find the last minute type of things again, and that works really well. So it's like the 2 times a year to look, or if you want to do like a temporary housing thing, is end of December and then summertime. Number 7, use Airbnb only to supplement days. So what I mean by that is that if you're traveling, if these are just like really temporary places that you're staying, like if you're somewhere for a few days or if you're passing through town or something like that, I recommend using couchsurfing.org as your first go-to. Number 2 would be to use Airbnb. You can rent rooms on Airbnb. And so both of those work really well, but Couchsurfing is free. So if you join Couchsurfing, the only thing about Couchsurfing is that you've got to get out there and you've got to start hosting people, and you've got to stay with a couple people and get your reputation points up, because everybody goes off of reputation, and if you have nothing, it's harder to get a place, although it's not impossible because everybody's got to start somewhere. But Couchsurfing is great. You don't necessarily sleep on people's couches. And the thing you can do there is go in and look at profiles and see what they're offering, because they have a little section of what exactly the situation is. And I always look for people that say, I have a spare room and I've got a bed in the room. And that it's almost like a hotel, and then you get to meet some new person and kind of get to hang out with them, and that's kind of cool. So Couchsurfing is going to save you a lot of money. And people are so nice on there. It's a really great site. It kind of forces people to be nice, because if something were to go wrong in a Couchsurfing type of situation, then the other person would rate them like neutral or negative, and then they'll have a hard time using the site after that. Because even I was just looking at some places, and I found a guy that had like 3 positive reviews, but he had 1 neutral one, and the comments were not good, like some weirdness going on. And so I'm not going to him. I'm not going to go stay with this guy. So even though he's got more positive reviews, so even one negative review is going to hurt you. So couchsurfing, and then Airbnb is as a second choice. Private rooms are nice. Sometimes they run, it depends on what city you're in, but you can a lot of times get rooms for like $40, $50. So it's a little cheaper than going to a hotel. Of course, in the hotel you get total privacy. You'll have to stay with somebody in this case. If you go for the full like Airbnb place to yourself, a lot of times those can run pretty expensive. For some reason, the demand is really high for Airbnb, like condos and things like that. People want to stay like in neighborhoods rather than stay at hotels. So so the number 7 is couchsurfing and Airbnb. And number 8 is furnished apartments are everywhere. So always look for furnished apartments. And this is a minimalist thing because the better you can do with renting furnished places, the less stuff you're going to have. Furnished places are great. You'll find them everywhere. And so you can look on Craigslist, and everywhere you go, there's tons of furnished places. So that's never been an issue. I've never missed my furniture. I got rid of it. I got rid of my furniture completely about a year and a half ago, I think. No, actually, it was about 2 years ago. I don't have any furniture now, but I don't at all miss it. Even though some of the places I stay the furniture is not the best ever. It's not top notch. But you can make do, and sometimes you find things that are better. Like I see things that I'm like, I would have never got this, but this desk is really cool or something. So furnished apartments are everywhere, and look for them and use them. They are your best friend when it comes to the temporary housing. The last one, number 9, is own a set of bedding. So I've been doing this for a while, and it definitely can help if you have a set of bedding. Sometimes, once in a while, I've been to a place that it has all the furniture, but it doesn't have a bed. So it's very easy to get a mattress. It's very easy to get even the box springs in the mattress, and you can get that super cheap, and you can even get it delivered and all that. So that's not a problem. But then it's, getting the bedding and all that. So I drive in my car. I have a whole set I have queen size sheets and comforter. So that's a good thing to have just in case. But I don't really need it. Although this place that I'm living in now, it came with sheets, but they were really old and they had holes in them. So I ended up buying new sheets and all that. So that can happen too, where you want your own. You don't want to use the same ones that come with the place. So that helps. So that's about all I had this week. And I'm hitting the road in, 3 days now. 3 days I'm hitting the road for Austin. I'm actually going to go to Tucson, Arizona first, and I'm going to spend a night there with a couch surfing person, and then I'm going to head out from there, really wanting to go to Carlsbad, New Mexico, and see the Carlsbad Caverns, which it was in the book that I read, or that I have. It's called 1,000 Places to See Before You Die. So, and that was one of them. So I definitely want to hit that up, and I've seen the pictures and they look amazing, but there's nothing like seeing stuff like that live. So I will be posting that on the blog. So if you're living in the Southwest, hit me up, shoot me an email, kevin@freedomlovin.com, and we can get together. But I will be in Austin starting on probably Wednesday of next week, Wednesday the 14th. So at the very latest, it'll be Thursday the 15th. So anyway, I look forward to your feedback, and have a great week, and go out there and build some freedom.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Freedom Lovin' Podcast. To break free today, head on over to freedomlovin.com and download our free guide. 7 practical tips to living free in an unfree world.